All right, you are listening to an episode of Transparency and Merit. I'm JP and Brian. What the Seth Rogan endorses Antifa? What?
Well, bailing the looters and stuff out of jail. A lot of them are Antifa, and a lot of them, you know what? I mean, they're committing terrorist acts, and he is endorsing political violence by bailing them out of jail and giving them, a lot of funds. So he's basically endorsing political violence, and he's basically he's throwing them out of jail and this and that, and it's this Canadian-born actor, and a lot. You know what? Let me just say this.
Say it.
My father was in the film industry. Look, he never made it. Whatever, dude. But I mean, he was around these lefties for years, and they've gotten worse. They're vindictive. They're mean. They're cruel. They're nasty, and they have. You know what? I mean, the anti-racist left has no empathy or understanding, only ideology. And that's one of the reasons why they don't debate. They cannot stand their fragile ideology to be challenged. And they're absolutely horrible, nasty people. They're so self-righteous, sanctimonious, garbage.
Interesting.
And I really absolutely despise them. And I think they need to be, like I said, I think they need to be challenged wherever they go, not just in America, but throughout the West, in my opinion. I think, it's just a good idea to.
Are you mad? Are you angry?
Oh, yeah. These riots, I mean, I've been angry at the left for a long time, since, they've started censoring Twitter. Since they started censoring social media, they've really shown their true colors, how sneaky and nasty they really are. They're very immoral, nasty people, and I don't think they deserve to be in any corridors of power, because they will abuse it. And if you get abused, they'll have no empathy. I mean, the biggest, because the philosophy of the anti-racist is worldwide and universal. The perfect example of the anti-racist philosophy is in Rotherham, England. These victims of these Muslim grooming gangs, they did and said nothing about it, and they've hidden the report about that. And you engage some of these people on Twitter and social media, and you'll see they have no empathy for the victims of these crimes, and they want you to be quiet about it. They have no empathy for the victims who are murdered. The victims in South Africa and Zimbabwe who have been murdered. No empathy. They were like, they always downplay it. They upplay one, downplay the other. These people are awful. They're gaslighters. They're manipulators. They're terrible, awful people. Awful people to the core. And they've only gotten worse.
Have you seen them in your neighborhood?
Yeah, but I don't engage with them. And the only reason I don't engage is because they're very vindictive and they're very cruel, and they will try to, there is no bounds, because these are fanatical people. Anti-racism is a religion and a faith, and there is no bounds or anything like that where they won't go, and they will do the worst kinds of things. There was a reporter recently who was attacked at her home, So you got these Antifa mobs that are attacking innocent journalists and committing acts of terror. And then you got Seth Rogan and the rest of his Marxist individuals basically funding them. You know, these are they're just they're one-sided ideologies. I wish they were. You know what I mean? Some of the and like I said, some of these social media texts, they need to be taken before Congress, but Congress needs to be aware. The conservatives, I think, they need to be aware of how the anti-racist left works and their behavior. And they're, I mean, they are extreme gaslighters. And look, you're not there to have a relationship with them. You're there to expose them. You're there to rip off their sheep's clothing. Because, they may come to you nice and that. They're not. And they will lie. They will lie. They will cheat. They will do anything they can to gain victory. Because in many ways, they think they are in a war. And, when you're in what? I was talking to a Marxist today. He was an old Jewish communist. And he said how he got out of the draft and how he did things. He says, I lie. When it comes to protecting myself, I will lie. And that is the anti-racist left. It will lie. They will lie to protect their image, to protect their ego, and to protect their money. And I think the biggest thing about this is it is primarily ego.
It's ego. Ego is the key factor here.
It's a big drug for them. They get off on this. They think they're doing moral and good when they're really doing awful.
Could benefit from ego training.
Could they benefit? Well, if it was a form of healthy ego training, but their ego is based on
I'm thinking of teaching an ego class. I've taught anger management in the past. I've run anger management groups. I've done individual anger management. But I think ultimately people don't know how to control their ego, which isn't a bad thing. Ego is not the enemy. It's people who don't understand how to use their ego and understand the power of ego that end up being a tremendous burden, I think, on society.
Wait. How do you?
I can't invite. By the way, my Facebook page, Transparency and Merit, I cannot invite friends to my page.
So, can you invite Francesca Ramsey to your page?
I mean, like I said, she's protected by the left. She doesn't. I mean, and the one thing about social media, and they took these anti-racist leftists to task.
I'm still not clear what this Seth Rogan did though to draw your ire.
Well, he's not the worst. He's not even the worst.
Why is Seth Rogan the topic of the day? I guess what's going on with him?
Well, he's bailing out the looters, and he's pushing this
on Facebook, I think. Right? I mean, is he doing this on Facebook?
And I just got a post from this. If racism didn't exist, there wouldn't be justice. Because I said to you, if racism didn't exist, and there wasn't racial injustice, there wouldn't be riots. If the three cops were arrested for if the three cops arrested for what they sorry folks, hold on. If
nice reading, nice reading. Take a deep
breath. My glasses are foggy. If the three cops were arrested for what we would have already been arrested for, there wouldn't be riots. Waiting for whites to realize and fix their racial injustice hasn't worked. So you push people to their limits. You can't expect to be all prim and proper.
Kings of Talk, do you have a question for Brian? You don't have to. I'm just curious.
Oh, no.
Why not? Let's go, man. I'm kidding. All right.
I'm gonna give this
to you. I'm checking in with the king. I think the king should have questions for Brian because these thoughts unchecked.
I think the left and the right is part of the same bird.
Don't agree with that.
I agree with that 100%.
I disagree with that 1,000,000%. But go ahead.
Do you think that they socialize?
What's that?
Do you think that these people socialize left and right?
What's that?
I said, do you think major players from the left and major players from the right, do you think that they socialize? Do they get together?
They don't talk politics.
Get out of here. Everything's conflict with these people.
Right now?
Get out of here. That's the most naive thing I think I've ever heard.
Really, they don't talk politics.
Shut up! Don't tell me what to do.
Major players don't talk politics.
Beat it. Beat it, fat boy.
God, more of this.
Hey, man. I'll punch you right in the belly, dude. I'll give you a left hook right to the gut.
It's just...
I'll give you a left hook right to the bam.
Violence.
I'm sorry.
Violence is the answer?
He's trying to control things, and I won't be controlled. I'll like your dad, like the dad that left you. I'll give you the right.
I'm not trying to control you.
I will give you the back of the hand. Kidding. I don't. You can say what you want. I just like, hey, don't anyone tell me what to do.
True.
I'm not telling you what to
do. Politics. That's trying to tell me what to do.
No, you got a point of view. You got a point of view, but I disagree with that 100%. Okay, so all right, get on with the Seth Rogan rant.
I'm tweeting this evil person and giving him a dose of his own medicine.
Make sure you add a link to the show.
I don't want that person coming because he might try to block me.
Oh.
Wait, you're preemptively expecting people to block you? What's the name?
Tonight we give away book.
I've been blocked before. Not only have I been blocked, but people have tried to censor me, and they've reported me before.
Yes.
See, I only say nice things, and that's why I keep a good demeanor.
We do a stoic, calm show where we practice that. It's not always possible.
Hey, fuck you, man.
See? You lost it. Took me one comment to get him riled up. All right, what are you saying to this person?
I'm saying, do you think America's future is South Africa?
You're already baiting the trap there. That's already a big heavy. It's been heavy there.
I'm doing this on Twitter.
Oh, never mind.
Carry on. Oh, it's a tweet. Carry on.
Well, despite making up only 13% of the population.
Oddball, are you on Twitter?
This is how fast I was banned from Twitter. As I was signing up for Twitter, the email domain that I was signing up with, literally was banned. My email was banned.
Wow.
Don't tell me what it is because I don't want the show to get banned. Put it in the chat.
I'm not trying to get anyone banned.
Because YouTube has already restricted me. Facebook has restricted me. I mean, I don't know what they mean by hate speech. I'm just telling the truth here.
Well, I don't understand. Okay, here's the thing when it comes to hate speech guidelines. It's very vague, and I'm like, well, what happens if you don't know technically my skin color, and then I say something that's inflammatory, and I get banned? What happens if I get banned for the wrong reason? That's the thing, and and you have a legal case for that. That's always an interesting one. I haven't seen that just yet. Once it starts happening, you're gonna have to, either do away with this whole hate speech shit, or relax it just enough so that the cracks will start to fill in.
Fair enough. I don't think Brian knows the policy well enough to comment.
What, the policy on what?
Do you know the YouTube user policy?
I'm not sure on what it is. It's a lot of things are very arbitrary, and they can delete things and remove people's channels without any kind of cause. They can just do it. They're very arbitrary. They're very leftist, and one of the things that the anti-racists have started to do is just to be arbitrary, because they know their arguments don't fly, and that's why you can't get a hold of anyone in person, who's part of these trust and safety teams, because they know their arguments are very arbitrary and that they don't fly, and that's why because they want to censor. They don't want. The anti-racist leftist does not want to debate.
See, what I want to do is actually get on one of those trust and safety teams. Like, yeah, I am totally for the trust and safety of YouTube, and I am ready to make YouTube safe again. And then slowly just, whoopsie, I allow this video. Whoopsie, I allow this video. You know what I mean?
And I'm just looking. I mean, look at some of this stuff on Twitter, man.
Okay, go ahead.
Every
Look at it.
social media I've been banned from, basically. Some of it, of course, was justified. I was.
What was justified?
Some of the bans I received on some social media platforms.
Well, I don't like being. I think shadow banning and not explaining why is very cowardly.
Oh, shadow banning! I've been. That is something. That's something else. That's some insidious, evil shit right there. When there's a certain ploy, there's people in the background that are noticing what and how you're saying certain things, and it kind of gets a bit scary when you can't comment on almost any website. You're basically kind of barred from kind of commenting on the internet by and large, or not getting enough kind of quote unquote attention.
A cop can't defend himself, so we're here. Anyone who wants to throw shit at a cop or pick on a cop, pick one of us the fuck out and we'll go around the corner and fight this one-on-one. So unless take that fucking faggot energy. Take that fucking faggot energy and go somewhere else. We just want peace. That's what we want. Fucking head wide open. Yo, get down. Take his foot your head. Explain why you did that. It's my chest. We don't live like this. Plain and simple, we just don't live like this. We don't photo and everything. Photo me and him. Photo that. A cop can't defend himself, so we're here. Anyone who wants to throw shit at a cop or pick on a cop, pick one of us the fuck out and we'll go around the corner and fight this one-on-one. So unless take that fucking faggot energy. Take that fucking faggot energy and go somewhere else. We just want peace, but we don't. Fucking head wide open. Yo, get peace. Let's go for a walk. Take it from your house.
Wow. There's a lot of factions going at it right now.
There are.
It's just a hoax, okay? It's just the crisis actors and provocateurs, and of course the real people getting
indeed.
hurt and stuff.
These are all government sanctioned. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. But it's just like all you need is just enough people, like 50 people or whatever, to start inciting certain levels of and provocateurs in certain areas, some type of martyr. Oh, look,
people are going to bite.
Cabin fever. Everyone's in their fucking homes. Let's just fucking. They're just ready. They're just ready. They've been eating shit food. They haven't seen the sunlight, and they're ready to basically break down their fucking door to get outside. And you give them a fuel for their rage, and you just light the fire. You just top the gasoline, light the fire, and it just keeps going. The whole oil field goes.
Damn, that's a pretty good perspective, man. I agree with it. I don't think Brian does, but I agree. These things catch like wildfire.
Look, I mean, listen, Joe.
None of these arguments are organic. Don't tell me they are, but go on.
Joe, you heard that psychologist from Loyola Marymount spouting.
Absolutely, but yes. How do you think she got on TV?
Joe,
how do you think she got on TV? Can you get on TV and say something opposite of her?
No. That's because anti-racist Marxists control the media as well as academia.
This is a dialogue. This is a playbook.
This is the Hegelian dialectic. It results in it's just silly to start playing into that. It's the false dichotomy that is.
You know what?
In a sense,
It's also
the protesters that I saw today. What the fuck is that? I'm hearing myself echo. The protesters that I saw today, they were privileged. Most of them were privileged white girls. Some of them spoke more than one language. They've traveled, to Europe and other things. These are a lot of these are spoiled, privileged scumbags. These people are trash. These are elitist trash, and they're going to hurt us. They're going to cause us pain. They're going to inflict pain wherever they go. And you know what, man? I, for one, dude, I am sick of the anti-racist left. I have family members who believe in that. It's all over my Facebook. These people are trash. They're garbage, and they're going to destroy. If they succeed, I think they're going to destroy the country. England pushed back on them. America has to push back on them, and we need freedom of speech. We need to expose these people for the racial vendetta, thirsty mob that they are. They are vile, nasty people who have no empathy. None. They're cruel. They are cruel people. Seth Rogan's one of them. He's ideology first. He's a cruel, cruel person. A lot of these people who are being looted, man, they spent their years trying to, opening up their business, working from sun up to sundown, and he pays the criminals that looted it. That's garbage, man. It's trash. I don't have any, I don't have any empathy for them. I don't have any love for that. And now any movie he does, I don't want to watch, man. I don't want to watch any of these guys' movies. If you're paying for the looters and the rioters, you're trash. You're garbage. You're scum. You're siding with degenerate criminals. I won't want, I'd rather watch someone wipe their tush than watch a Seth Rogan movie. You're scum, Seth Rogan.
To use a Yiddish word.
Yeah, but he's a scumbag. He's a Marxist leftist scumbag. That guy pisses me off, man.
Let's not start offering free helicopter rides just yet, okay? And before I roll,
Why?
Well, because it's looking really, really, really bad for them as well. They're not gaining any points, any favor when they're, looking like scum. The more that you just sit back, defend what you have, and, make sure that you don't catch fire, basically.
You know what? Here's the deal. Unless you get, look, I'm almost ready, and Joe thinks I'm crazy, but like gaining a militia back and like, hey man, I don't want to live like this, and we need to when the courts arrest people for defending themselves, like some of the Proud Boys have when they fought Antifa, we need to say, hey man, wait a minute. We're entitled to equal protection under the law. We're entitled to self-defense.
I don't think it's crazy. I think you want to join a gang.
To defend myself, yes. If it means defending myself, yes.
Boy, the media's played an awful trick this time around.
Well, on me, you know what? I've seen it firsthand. I've been to a kind of a ghetto school, and I know what it's like.
Yeah, but have you been in a war?
No. But I've been, you know what? I've been on the receiving end. I've been on the receiving.
Do you hear me?
What's that?
Anything. I said I know people that were in war, and they would do anything to avoid going through that sort of mass trauma.
At this point, I don't know. I mean, if it means oppression or war, I would take probably war. I won't be oppressed.
Wow. I agree, but it's I agree not settling for there are other ways to fight is what I'm saying. It's not like it's the end. The game hasn't finished yet. And to say it's either either we're going to go into a system of complete bondage or go to war. Those are two heavy duty extremes. That
there are three options: negotiation and compromise, flee, or fight.
But there are other ways to fight besides guns for now. That's what I'm saying. This isn't a boots on the ground kind of war.
America didn't have nuclear weapons for
nuclear weapons.
Didn't have nuclear weapons
I don't buy into the scare of nuclear. I never did. Nuclear weaponry is bullshit.
I buy in the scare of using force, and sometimes you know what you can blockade. Here's what you can do: you can gather people together who think the same way. You can blockade those places. You can starve them. You can cut their water off.
Yes.
Give them nothing, and then they surrender to you. No food, no water. Shut off the water. Shut off the food. And you know what?
That's why I grow food, and I'm looking actively. I have found a couple of very good water sources, so that does solve a couple of problems.
Well, like I said, a lot of these people live in houses and apartments and other places, and if you side with Marxists, shut off your water. shut off your food. Truck drivers should a lot of these truck drivers are being abused. Maybe the truck drivers should get together and say, you know what, you people who aren't abusing us, you come with us. We'll deliver to you. We won't deliver. We won't deliver to these big cities that are beating us up and that are supporting rioters and looters.
Maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe it's the end of cities as we know them.
You know what? Maybe these cities will come to an end. Because maybe the Teamsters should get together. These truckers should get together. These farmers should get together. And, and all the rest of the people that are delivering the food and some of these grocery stores say, hey, man, let's leave these. Let's leave these cities and leave them to the Hollywood elite and the social squalor and the barbarity. And then you'll find out. And then you'll know what it is, and then you know what? Your problem isn't going to be police brutality. It's going to be hunger and thirst. And then you'll come up with your hands up.
Not me. I'm growing my own food, and I'm talking to people who grow their own food.
Maybe it's time that we grew our own food. Maybe it's time, like I said.
My time started, or I'm already doing that.
Maybe it's time that we put, like a lot of Americans, just pull back and say, you know what? If we're going to be treated like this, pull back. And you know what? You truckers, side with us, truckers. Us, you know what? Truckers, side with us. Farmers, side with us. Don't deliver food there. They hate us. Don't give them anything. Let them go hungry.
There's also a level of dependency you got to be wary of.
We're all dependent in some way. And then you're going to find out, hey, man, you're dependent on these truckers. You're dependent on these grocery stores. And by the way, Seth Rogan can live anywhere he wants. He's not dependent on these grocery stores. He's not dependent on these truckers. But a lot of the poor people are. But you know what? The poor people who are noble and good need to get together and say, hey, man, maybe we shouldn't be living around here where the people hate us.
Yes. Maybe that's a word that should be spread. Hello, is anybody here? Anybody have a question for Brian?
Yeah.
No.
Are you ready to accept Jesus into your life now?
No.
Oh, okay. Just wondering.
No Jesus for you.
I guess you'll just accept the mark of the beast.
Well, hey, Beppo, I think he wants to ask you a thing or 10.
Yes.
Did they reopen the 7-Eleven? Are you getting any
Yes.
hot dogs on a wheel?
They have
Right now, they open it. Well, it's closed now because there's a curfew, but it was open. But there's always a 6 p.m. curfew.
I think this was Oddball's first show. I told him that the grand prize is a tongue scraper. I don't think he has one. The Mr. Midnight Movie tongue scraper.
We haven't gotten our
supply. Your supply is low.
Organization of Transparency and Merit tongue scrapers have not arrived yet, but they should be here soon. A couple weeks, if you can wait it out. You'll be the first to get one, Oddball.
I'm renaming him in the 1960s, 70s. We used to take this pills. They were barbiturates. We used to call him Goofball. So I'm going to rename him Goofball.
Yes, Goofball. I just call him the Floridian.
He's like your cousin or your son or something. He's like a juvenile JP.
Yeah, I kind of like this Oddball guy. He's kind of cool.
He's like Fox steroids.
It's like Fox Supreme.
Fox Supreme, yeah.
I'm the best of both worlds.
Actually, I kind of like Fox on steroids. That's actually better. Yeah, that is better.
No.
Fox on steroids. I don't know what that means, but
that's all right.
Cool.
That's all right.
Well, Fox, he sucks dick across America. That's how he gets across America. Hercules wants to eat my shrimp.
By the way, is that a new government program? Cox for America?
Oh. I hope they give us shrimp.
I've never talked to King of Talk.
Never? Oh, King of
No.
Talk is great.
Oh,
Kings, do you have a question for Brian? You've been steaming over
You have
there.
a question for Beppe? You have a question
Yes.
for Beppe? Beppo?
Any questions?
I question you, Mr. Producer.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good. Go ahead.
All right.
If it's about the nuclear thing, go look it up. I'm not getting
Ask
into
him
that.
about his nose.
Sake. No. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for this one. Okay. Do you understand how the new how how they have got
Farts while he's talking.
the nuclear
I just said if you want to get into the nuclear thing, go look it up, and then I'll talk to you later about it.
all right.
Get out of
all
here
right.
with that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
fake.
a big topic.
It's nonsense. It's all bullshit. It's all staged bullshit.
Oddball, what
No,
size
I'm
are your
talking
feet?
about
What size
the
shoe do you wear?
weaponized
Oddball, I want to
product. I'm
know
talking about
right
the
now.
production systems that they've
Okay.
produced.
Yes. They're big heat bombs. Okay. What were we gonna ask him, Apocalypse?
Hey, Oddball, what size shoe do you wear?
18.
I would say 9 or 9.5.
9 or 9.5. Okay. I'm just seeing what you're packing here. Somebody was kind of indirectly asking me to ask you about a certain size of a certain thing, and that was the best way to answer it. So that's it.
I think I think Darren. Next time, Darren should come on and ask it.
You want to keep it PG-13? I may not have a $5 foot long, but I do have a 6-inch sub.
Yeah, shut up.
Mr. That movie's all. He went from horny to hungry.
Yes. What did you just tweet?
I'm tweeting right now. The guy says to ask me if I spoke English, and I told him I try.
I try. Yeah, that's all you can do.
A clear rip on your spelling. I'm taking it.
Yeah, I for the life of me, I could not spell fucking exponential line, and I'm just thinking like, how the fuck do I spell this shit?
Spell it transparency and merit.
Yeah, that's how you spell it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Just sound it out. All right, Brian, what are you doing?
I'm tweeting right now. How much?
Listen, man, you have tweet time and you have show time.
Hold on, I'm tweeting to this, but I'm passionate right now.
You gotta fucking talk about it. You can't just sit there like.
I'm tweeting to this person. He asked me if I spoke English. I asked him. I said, "What will you do if good, noble people leave these cities and truck drivers stop delivering food and they turn off the water? How will you?" Let me see. I'm thinking right now. How much?
How many characters does he get?
I don't know. How much will police? Listen.
The panel knows. Come on, you nerds.
All right. Go on. Talk amongst yourself. Let me figure this out. I need my brain time.
I need to tweet during my show.
I need my brain time.
I need a tongue scraper.
I've never heard that terminology.
I'm
like, what the fuck does that mean?
Oddball, are you offended now by you? This is the first time you've been on the show, right, where I think it is, and then the host abandons his own show. How does that make you feel?
No, I'm not. I'm still here.
I could take it another way, but I'm not going. I'm going to wait.
Oh, what's plan B? What's plan B? Let's hear it.
I had some showgirls that were about to come out and party with us, but I think
Is that a good thing?
Yes. One day after you get your first mate, you'll figure out. Okay, yeah, showgirls are always good.
No, I don't think so.
Your mom doesn't count.
Kings, welcome.
Kings, welcome back to the show. I know I've been dying to hear what you think of all of this madness. Please tell
I'm
me.
going to punch you right in the belly.
I want to hear. Shut up.
You gonna punch me in the belly? How about I punch you in the face?
Yes. Take it in the face.
Oh.
Boom.
Oh.
Two punches.
Come
King
on.
hitting the face and you
Come on.
hitting the deck.
Come on, huh? I'll scrape your face.
What the hell's going on here?
But no, all this craziness is just chaos.
I'm ready for. I am angry right now.
Hold on a second here. You're tweeting. I want to hear Kings. Shut up. Go on, Kings. You're angry. What?
I have to agree with Mr. Midnight Movie that with all this rioting going on, it is pathetic. If they want to change the world, how about do something peaceful rather than rioting?
Yeah.
So, hey, King, Brian, before you say another word, I'm going to tell you a little something about my man over here, Kings of Talk. About 3 months ago, I asked Kings of Talk
Yes.
what his favorite, like, give me a popular line of clothing. And he gave me a name. He told me Llama Llama. And
Is that for the people that have a little bit of a gutsy poo?
I don't know. But listen, so I went in and I did some digging. And there's a company called Genius that holds license to the name brand that Kings liked. And so I bought some shares of it. It was cheap. And in the 3 months since I bought that stock, it's gone up 750%. I'm not kidding. Look it up. GNUS. It's crazy. Good job, Kings.
Yeah, you will.
Making that money. Oh yeah.
Yeah. One question, and Kings gave me a golden egg. It's unbelievable. I just thought of it yesterday. I was going through my stocks, and I was like, what the hell is this? And the stock has absolutely taken off since I bought it. It's crazy. So let that all be a lesson to you all. Words.
Sorry.
Go
Go
ahead.
on.
Go ahead.
Also, I think if people really need to change the world, I mean,
Hey Joe, are you coming over tomorrow?
Let's play it by ear. Let's finish this up and then I'll talk because I got a couple things I got to do in the morning, but I could still make it out there.
Right.
Oh, you'll make it.
Oh, I'll make it. Oh, I will.
Making it, and after all,
If there's a curfew, then no, I'm not gonna.
Why don't you guys LARP as a BLM, lovers or something? Go out there and pretend to be what you're not.
Yeah.
We've seen guys like that.
Yeah, I mean, get to know a lot of people, get contacts to bring on your show.
We met two dudes like that. They were weird. I remember that. You remember where were we? They were totally like a fake couple. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Or maybe a couple.
Yeah, they were dressed really flamey.
Yes, they were dressed incredibly flamey.
But they were very conservative.
Yes. But they had very conservative attitudes. It was really interesting. I thought they were fakers, but maybe they were. Who knows?
No, they were real.
They were the real deal.
Sometimes you got to spy on these people, and yes,
oh yeah,
every matter though.
Oh yeah,
oh yes.
I remember that. They were really kind of going for the 411 on that. That was bizarre. LARPs.
LARP and live action role play.
There you go. I think that was Brian. When I look back on that, I think they were LARPers.
Yeah.
Wonder what Kings thinks though. Kings,
Kings.
what's your thoughts on the matter?
Kings, are you a LARPer?
What the fuck is that?
I like the way you put that. It's clever. I would say it's kind of like an act, but I'm not saying that for sure they were acting. I think that's what a LARP is. Live action role playing, as Apocalypse calls it.
Okay.
Are you a LARPer? A live action role player?
No.
What do you think? Yeah, are you a real man though?
I'm the real deal.
How come your girl doesn't like it then?
What are you talking about?
Katie D, who's your real girl, by the way?
His real girl's Katie D, and has she asked you to, role play?
Okay. No, my woman, the name is Stormy.
Stormy Weathers.
Can I see?
Daniel?
Stormy Daniel.
Can I ask you a question? Can you put the picture in the chat, please?
Huh?
I want to see a picture of her because I might steal her away.
Oh,
Fuck no.
Kings, are you gonna
Tell me a picture right now.
Man, I'm gonna kick his ass. I went to hell.
Beat you up. I'm gonna beat you up. Kings of Talk, I'm gonna beat you up, and then I'm gonna give your woman a ride.
Oh shit!
Oh, fuck no.
He's gonna cuck you.
Beat your ass.
He will cuck you.
I'm putting on my hand sanitizer right now for your lady.
My wife's son is doing really well.
You motherfucker.
You're a cuck too?
You know what? Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. Can I say this?
Go ahead.
In all seriousness, Kings of Talk. Listen. Listen. After I'm done with your woman, you can raise my son. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Fuck you, asshole.
Listen, I'm just saying, you can raise my son.
No, I'm going to kick your ass.
Kings, you're not going to raise his kid?
On the damn floor. Away.
Kings of Talk, after I kick your ass, I'm going to have, your woman's going to be so impressed that she's just going to do all kinds of things with me. And then after a couple of months, I'm just going to hey, you can go back to Kings now. And you know what? He'll call me daddy, but you pay all the bills and everything else, and I'll take him out hunting and fishing and all the things that men do. He'll call me daddy, and he'll call you Lumpy. That's all.
Lumpy.
He'll call you uncle.
Fuck up, asshole.
Listen,
Uncle
listen, if your wife is hot,
yeah, Stormy is hot.
if she's hot, then I deserve her.
Uh,
How much do you weigh? Are you 300 pounds and you have a hot chick? That's not right because I'm fat too, and I'm less. I'm 250. So if she's a really attractive woman, I absolutely deserve to be with her.
I've seen her picture. She's cute.
Is she?
Oh, he went live. Oh, hey.
Hey, now. Yeah.
She got black hair now.
Hey,
She's a
now,
blackhead.
hey, now, suck my dick now.
Hey, he just went live. Holy shit.
King?
Really?
Yeah, look in voice chat. Yeah.
Oh, we are simulcasting
Oh, look at
transparency
that.
and merit.
Nice.
Yes.
Like
Where's
your
it?
hair, man. You got a mohawk?
It's a mohawk.
Do you have a,
Yeah, whatever that is. Yeah.
do you also have a
I would
man
rip
bun?
that off your head. Like,
I see.
like that.
Wow, you got a man bun.
No.
How fat, by the way, I can't get on there right now because it'll hurt the thing. How fat is Kings of Talk, Joe? How chubby?
The tail of the tape would be, I think he might outweigh you by about 10 to 15 pounds.
Well, he's about, how tall is he? 5'5"?
You're 5'5"? I thought you were 5'10". No, but but what's your height, not your width?
Height is 5'5". What the fuck? You asshole.
Kings is great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Firing it up.
I bet I weigh the least in this room right now.
Yeah, we kind of knew that already though.
I'll kick your ass too.
So
Yeah.
wow, Kings looks like a crazy man. I think he would beat your ass, Brian.
You know what he looks like? He looks like a Viking.
He looks like the dude from Taxi after he lost his shit.
Let me take a look at this guy.
Yeah.
Let me go in this chat. It's gonna get loud. Hold
Better
on.
get in here.
No, you don't have to go. Oh yeah, you do have to go into the chat.
Hold on, I'm gonna mute my mic, and then I just want to look at this dude.
Yeah, he's actually really good looking.
He is good looking.
He's got a good, the thing. He has a really good beard.
He's got a good beard and a great head of hair. And
Welcome back.
yes, so Mr. Midnight Movie is checking you out. I think you're maybe a little. You might weigh as much as Mr. Midnight Movie, but he's tall, man. Mr. Midnight Movie is like 6 feet tall.
Height really doesn't matter.
He's
5'5", so he can still throw an axe at somebody coming to take his girlfriend away.
You know it does matter, Kings.
No, actually, my dad, he's a little bit taller than me, just about an inch or two taller, and he knocked a guy out.
That's
shit.
a stinky fart.
7.
I would. Okay, I just saw what you look like. I would tie your beard in a knot, basically. I would just like yank your beard, and then smack you a few times, and then take your girl.
Why would he spank me? You faggot!
That's a stinky fart.
No, I would take your girl. Hello, Debbie. Hold on, guys. Please.
Debbie's here.
Flex, man. Don't let him do that.
Debbie's got style. She knows where the good shows are at.
Let me take a look.
Eventually, she'll catch on to it if it's good. Did you see the video that she sent you on Antifa, Brian?
I'm gonna take a look at it now. Ugh.
By the way, you got a compliment. Darren said, "Mr. Brian, your face is skinny."
Let me see. Where did Debbie send it on Facebook? Where'd she send it? Oh, wait, let me look. Oh, what am I doing? Let me see here. When did she send it?
When did you change it?
She sent it to you on Discord. It might be. Let me check the main there. I haven't seen it personally, but let's see.
Yeah.
She might have sent it to your private on Discord. Oh, she's gonna go get it. convenience and pleasure, all blended together.
I have a question for Kings, if that's okay while we wait for this.
Go ahead.
Kings, if you get married to, I guess your fiance, are people from Spreaker and this sort of area allowed to come to your wedding? And if so, is it open bar?
We're not going to have any alcohol.
What?
How about? Well, you know what? I love banging sober women. So after I bang her, you can have your, then, yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna kick your sorry ass out in the street.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Listen,
If you're
I
not
deserve hot women.
Kings, if you don't serve alcohol at your wedding, you may as well just hand out flyers with a prediction date for when your divorce will be.
Why don't you just make it a swinging party where everyone bangs your lady before the
Like a piñata.
You are an asshole. Asshole.
The asshole alert.
Listen.
You are a bitch boy. Yeah. You don't want to ever fuck with me.
I wouldn't. I'd get my ass kicked.
Have you
Okay.
let me ask you this. Have you ever been in a fight, Kings of Talk?
Huh?
Have you ever been in a fight?
Yes, I have.
Sorry, there
Yes,
was asshole alert.
Oh, I was like, what is that?
It was the asshole alert. I was waiting for Kings to start firing it up. All right, Debbie, where is this link? This so-called link of yours? We don't have all day. Arrgh.
All day.
Oh, here we go. I got it. Here, let me send it to you, Joey Poo.
All right.
Joey Poo, you got it already. Joey Poo.
Where did I get it?
It's in the bottom of it's the last thing on our Discord, on the Jewish producer Discord.
On Discord, huh? Okay, it's the Antifa thing.
Yeah, it's on the bottom there.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Hold on. I gotta add it. I gotta share the screen to play it. Hold on.
La 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 la. I'm gonna bang your girl.
King is gonna get Mr. Midnight Movies dick.
I wonder what her crotch is. Like, I might have to use some, lotion on, like some for a rash.
Is this the right thing?
Looks like it.
All right, here. Let me get you some audio.
Media and the culture. In my recent travels, I've come across two
It's
phrases.
a 35-minute video, so please talk.
Antifa.
Yes, we're gonna.
But who is Antifa? Why are they organizing? What are their goals? I knew from my 30 years of studying radical movements that Antifa would likely be connected to more mainstream leftist organizations. I knew that Antifa was a reincarnation of the so-called Black Bloc, a protest tactic where gangs of black-clad, masked street protesters engage in anonymous violence. These were the anti-Iraq war radicals who rampaged through San Francisco's financial district in 2003. The Black Bloc were part of the Occupy Wall Street movement of 2011. They were responsible for massive amounts of damage and chaos. The Black Bloc came back after the 2016 presidential elections, this time as Antifa. Even more violent, smashing property, and viciously assaulting all those who opposed them. There was also another difference. Numerous reports from victims and media alike of police refusal to intervene in incidents of violence. I became increasingly appalled by regular displays of extreme violence and disgusted by a mainstream media which either ignored, excused, or even glorified the thuggery.
I think that a lot of people recognize that when pushed, self-defense is a legitimate response to white supremacist and neo-Nazi violence.
I decided to do some digging. I immersed myself in the deepest recesses of the internet. Then I reached out to some of Antifa's most prominent opponents. And even if I didn't agree with them on many things,
I see
I
Milo.
sought out the most.
All right, you had any comments so far, so we can keep
Well,
going.
like I said, but I want to mention that that Antifa is. I mean, we're getting back to the serious point here. And look, I don't want to fuck your wife. I'm sorry I said that. It was just for fun. I don't want to fuck anyone's wife. I don't want to fuck anyone anyway. But let me get back to this shit. Like I said, this Antifa group, they're in a lot of. I think they're in a lot of things of power. They have a lot of people that support them, basically. That's
All right, so do you want to start, jump forward a little bit then?
You know what? Well, let's move forward just a little bit.
Let me see what they got.
In the 1980s, black-clad, ski mask-wearing protesters known as the Anonymous rampaged through German streets protesting against visiting American President Ronald Reagan.
I have read and I have been questioned since I've been here about certain demonstrations against my coming. And I would like to say just one thing, and to those who demonstrate so. I wonder if they have ever asked themselves that if they should have the kind of government they apparently seek, no one would ever be able to do what they're doing again.
Antifa resurfaced in the early 1990s. German communists and anarchists joined forces to combat gangs of neo-Nazi skinheads coming out of formerly communist East Germany. British communists and anarchists formed similar units to fight the British National Front. Opposition to a handful of real fascists soon morphed into violence against any opponent of the far-left agenda. The German intelligence service website explains that to Antifa, the word fascist has two meanings. Firstly, genuine Nazis. Secondly, anyone who supports a Western free enterprise system, capitalism. Lauren Southern is a Canadian journalist and free speech activist. She has encountered and confronted Antifa in Vancouver, Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany, New York, and Berkeley, California. Sheltered, nurtured, and funded by left-wing city councils, Antifa became well established across Germany, especially in the formerly communist East.
They have places in Germany, entire cities that I've gone to that are known as Antifa towns and have their stickers all over, and they can't set up police stations there or they'll be shut down and raided and attacked by this militant group. And they've just become a thing since Trump's election in America. They've really just started to get a wave of popularity there. And I'm worried that it's going to get as bad as it is in Europe. I was interviewing a young man in Germany who was like, please blur my face, please distort my voice in this interview. He wasn't saying anything particularly offensive, just something with a remote right wing, and that would be a moderate idea in America. And he was so afraid because he said the Antifa in Germany would put him on their website and on their lists, and they might hurt his child. They might come after his job, his livelihood, crash his home. There are plenty of stories of the homes of fascists being raided and all their things being smashed.
Milo Yiannopoulos is an English-born, American-based political commentator, media personality, and journalist. Milo's speaking events have been attacked by Antifa on several occasions, forcing him to spend $500,000 a year on personal security.
Antifa is an organization that claims to fight fascism. being anti-fascist, but is actually, you know, the most fascist organization probably in the United States, dedicated to, you know, closing down by violent means the speech of libertarians and conservatives and basically anybody they don't like. Anybody, and who they don't like is a net cast very wide.
Gavin McInnes was a co-founder of Vice Media. He has challenged Antifa repeatedly in New York and Washington, D.C. As a teenage anarchist punk, Gavin McInnes fought Nazi skinheads on the streets of Ottawa and Montreal.
When I did my talk at NYU, I got pepper sprayed. They wouldn't let my guys in, so they stayed and fought. 2 of them got arrested, and they're just fighting a mob. I went and did my talk like this. You can barely see because it keeps dripping into your eyes from your forehead, no matter how much you clean. And they were screaming, "Whose campus? Our campus. Whose campus? Our campus," in a catatonic state. And I went over to my microphone. There's plenty of mics. And I couldn't do my talk. And the professors, by the way, pretended they were regulating this talk, but they weren't. They didn't kick anyone out. They just said, "Please sit down," just going through the motions, but they're implicit in all this. And I went over to the guy and I said, "Here's a microphone, come on up. Let's have it out." And as I brought the microphone to him, the way I describe it is it was like a radioactive dick. So as it got closer, he went, "Oh," and this sort of, whatever you call that meter, that radioactive meter was going closer to him. And he'd go, "Oh, who's coming here?" And then when it got really near his face, he'd just cringe. And then as I walked away, "Whose campus? Our campus. Whose campus?" And it got louder and louder.
Most American Antifa came out of the anarchist movement. They were anti-authoritarian. They wanted no government, maximum freedom. Today's Antifa will still claim to be anarchist, but in fact have morphed into totalitarian communists.
Nobody should own anything. So you support communism?
Hey, I have a legit.
What do you fucking think, dude? Do you understand who you're talking with here? Yes. Do you understand who you're talking with here? Yes. Do you understand? Yes. I am a fucking communist. Okay?
They have no problem saying we are communist anarchists, and they wave the hammer and sickle, and they've basically been duped by Marxists.
So what's the difference between today's anarchist movement and the communist movement? Is there a difference?
There's absolutely no difference whatsoever.
Lindsay Grathwohl is a Bay Area free speech activist, rally organizer, and a mother. Lindsay is the daughter of the late Larry Grathwohl, once an undercover FBI informant inside the terrorist Weather Underground organization.
This violent revolution they want to bring about for social justice and peace. But how are they planning on bringing about social justice and peace by putting bombs in places where they would kill innocent people?
Well, these guys actually believed that they were capable of overthrowing the government. They honestly believed that they were going to succeed, and that the only way to accomplish this goal of creating a communist society and government here in the United States was by strategic sabotage.
What impassioned you to be involved in this?
My dad probably inspires me the most. Just what he did and me seeing what's going on and how it reminds me of everything that happened to him. That's probably my biggest motivation, aside from the fact that I love this country. I love this country, and I'm watching it, in my opinion, I'm watching it fall apart. And I feel like I need to get in there and do something.
So your dad, Larry Grathwohl, tell us a little bit about what he did back in the 70s that makes him so exceptional.
He was in Vietnam. He was in the 101st Airborne. When he returned from Vietnam, he went to University of Cincinnati, where he ran into the SDS, which was eventually turned into the Weather Underground Group, which is a domestic terrorist group from the 1960s and 70s. My father was the only FBI informant that was able to penetrate this group when they went underground. He was their runner. He would run messages between the Central Committee and other groups. And so he knew what the main characters in that group were doing at all times. He watched them plan bombings, watched them plan many acts of violence, and Antifa reminds me of the Weather Underground, just 30 years later.
So one of the leaders of the Weather Underground, who I know your father knew very well, was Bill Ayers.
Yes.
The famous professor from Chicago.
Yes.
Who mentored Barack Obama.
Yes.
Bill Ayers is involved in the leadership of Refuse Fascism, one of the main Antifa groups nationally, actually, a front for the Revolutionary Communist Party. How does that make you feel, seeing that man who your father knew back then as a terrorist now leading Antifa today?
Angry. I'm angry. This man should be in jail. Him and his wife, Bernadine Dorn, they should both be in jail. They should not be out. It makes me angry because he's out there pushing this, but not only is he out there pushing this now, he's been allowed to push this in our schools for decades. And I firmly believe that his teachings, just him and the liberal teachings, have made Antifa what it is.
Jack Posobiec is a highly controversial journalist, activist, and former Special Projects Director of Citizens for Trump. He has served several tours in the Naval Reserves as an intelligence officer. Jack uses his intelligence skills to track Antifa activities.
I'm not a Nazi. What are you doing, man? Hey!
We were told 20 years ago that communism had collapsed, that communism was no longer a problem. Yet we see violence and anarchy on America's streets like we haven't seen since the 1970s. And at that time, we know it was communist directed, you know, by the Weather Underground, the Communist Party USA, and others. So why are we seeing this violent, communistic sort of activity today when it's no longer supposed to be a problem?
Because while the Soviet Union fell, right, the Berlin Wall came down, sure, that all happened. But the ideology of communism, the ideology of sort of those people in the 70s that you mentioned were out there in the streets, from a great part of the United States, certainly in the Democrat Party, those people that were out there in the 70s, Bill Ayers comes to mind, are now tied to the highest levels of the Democrat Party, the highest levels of the U.S. Senate, the highest levels of the U.S. Congress. They find themselves in many places. George Soros, you know, Wall Street, a billionaire. And so having this amount of money tied to those ideologies is we're now seeing that even though, okay, the government, the infrastructure of the Soviet Union fell, certainly, but the ideology of communism was not defeated.
While researching the funding of these radical groups, I came across information from the Capital Research Center. $50,000 was channeled to refuse fascism through the Communist Party-aligned Alliance for Global Justice.
They received a $50,000 grant, which if you trace it back through sort of a liberal group, then a progressive group, then a globalist group, it actually goes back to the Open Society Foundation and George Soros. It's funny because it's almost like getting a game of whack-a-mole with George Soros, but it really does tie back to him in a lot of cases.
I sort of look at Antifa as the ultimate Cloward Piven plan. They're like the ultimate expression of the Cloward Piven plan. And if you know that analogy, these were two professors at Columbia University in another era who took a look at America and realized she was never going to knowingly adopt Marxism because there's just too much freedom and prosperity out there. People aren't going to give that up without a fight, right? You know, so instead, overrun the system with victimology, overrun the system with bureaucracy so that the system collapses. And then they feel as if they have no alternative but to turn to government to save us. Antifa is after the exact same thing. Create enough chaos in the streets, create enough bloodshed in the streets, people lose faith in their chaos.
All right, I mean, that's in a nut. I mean, that's kind of what that guy just said is basically what I believe in a nutshell. Creating a victim ideology. Get people riled up.
You don't even think the left and the right talk. Get out of here. Naivete.
Okay, first of all, you know what? Their views are out there. You can just sit in a room and listen to them. and this is what they believe. And like I said, to a lot of people, it's like a religion. You know?
All right. Where do you want to go from here? You want to end it or you want to keep going?
I think, you know what? I think that's all I have to say on this matter for now, anyway. And I want a picture of King of Talk's wife. Is she still here? I just, maybe get a picture of her.
We could always watch the rest of this film. That's the other option too.
What do you want to do?
We can watch it. I'm all right with that. We're not really, once we end, we end. Unless, what do you got to say, Oddball or Kings?
Yeah.
Anyone want to watch the rest of that film?
No.
I was vomiting in my pants.
You were vomiting in your pants.
Yes.
Okay, that's gross.
Thank you. All right. Any final words then, Brian? Or flip on the movie. Let's go. All right, I'll play it.
Is the friend of the Marxist.
Soviet communist leader Leon Trotsky, a master of propaganda, used the Soviet media to vilify all opposition to communism. Are there parallels with today's media?
I think the people who are doing the dangerous stuff, there's not me cracking jokes on stage in front of college students. The dangerous stuff is the media, constantly talking about punch a Nazi, to asking whether it's okay to punch a Nazi at the same time as branding everyone Nazis. It's the media constantly calling Republicans bigots, anti-Semites, white nationalists, white supremacists on the basis of no evidence whatsoever. And I've been called all of those things, and it's ludicrous.
To just be grossly generalistic, you could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Right? The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
This is called concept creep. Activists expand the meanings of words to advance their agenda. To Antifa, fascist now means anyone who opposes socialism. Racist means anyone who voted for President Trump. There are two steps in this process. First, vilify and dehumanize your enemy. Second, destroy your enemy.
You have to understand, like, my generation grew up our whole lives watching movies like Indiana Jones, where the coolest thing in the world is to punch or kill a Nazi, right? We watched Inglourious Bastards, which is just get me 100 Nazi scalps. And then we grow up through this inauguration election cycle, and we're told in university media, all the popular culture, that Donald Trump is Hitler. His supporters, those red caps, they might as well be swastika armbands. What are you supposed to do if you are told that this is going to be the rise of a man who you've been taught has killed millions and millions of people? How are you supposed to react to that? The only logical response to that is to go and try to stop it by any means necessary.
Just kill them all. Kill Trump. Let's kill all these Nazis. And again, Trump is a Nazi. Everyone who voted for him is a Nazi. So let's kill, 100 million people. Would that be good? As Marxists are wont to do for their utopias, right? They haven't planned out yet.
In America, almost all major Antifa violence has occurred in cities where the police are reined in by far-left, Democrat-controlled city councils. Boston, New York, Washington, D.C., Charlottesville, Virginia, Portland, Oregon, Oakland, San Francisco, Berkeley, California. We found evidence of considerable Antifa-Democrat interaction. Sometimes the ties are personal.
Among those Joy says committed crimes, Linwood Kaine, the son of former Democratic Party vice presidential nominee Tim Kaine. Linwood Kaine will have to appear in court to face charges for fleeing on foot and obstructing the legal process.
Wall Street too. Donald Trump is screwing you.
Linwood Kaine fought the police and had to be restrained with a chemical spray. In some cities, Antifa has actually penetrated the Democratic Party. In Orlando, Florida, Dylan Tyre leads the Antifa group Knights for Socialism, which is completely controlled by America's largest Marxist organization, Democratic Socialists of America. Dylan Tyre serves on the local DSA Executive Committee. His chairman, Adam Whitmer, doubles as a field director for the Florida Democratic Party. Often, Antifa is funded and trained by Democratic Party allied labor unions. Such is the case in Portland, Oregon.
When we were in Portland, there was actually Antifa training that was happening Saturday before the rally in Portland on Sunday. There were posters planted all over Portland that our guys got pictures of. They wanted me to go in, and we were going to try to send a couple of our people in there just to find out what they're doing. And I was willing to do it. I said, okay, but I didn't make it in time. So they tried to send a couple of other people that I know in there. They immediately were stopped before they could even get up the driveway. What's interesting is that the training happened by the Union Building. Yes, it was going on there. And then one of the Antifa people, of course, they all have, bandanas on their face, so you can't see who it is. He said he wanted to make it known that not only did they own that building, but they owned 3 or 4 blocks, all around there. That our guys needed to get out of there, like right now. Very organized. It was very, very organized. It wasn't a cheap looking building. It was very nice. From what I saw the pictures, that's not college kids just protesting. There's money behind these people. Lots of money.
When it comes to Antifa thuggery, Berkeley, California is in a class all of its own.
Well, I was gearing up to give a regular talk in Berkeley, like one of my college talks, like I always do, and we'd had some information that they were going to try some drama, and then suddenly we heard that the building was on fire and things were being destroyed outside, and it turned out that this armed mob of 200 well-funded, well-organized, thugs had shown up, ready for war, basically, throwing firebombs at the side of the building, storming it. The police had been told to back off. So I got evacuated from the building, and the police were just not prepared to protect me or anyone associated with me or my audience. Not necessarily fans of mine, but just people who wanted to come and hear what I had to say, or even other protesters. They just stood back and allowed this armed mob to destroy a town. I mean, one of the things people always say that they did $100,000 worth of damage to the University of Berkeley. What doesn't get reported as often is they also did $400,000 worth of damage to downtown Berkeley. It took like $500,000 worth of criminal damage, looting and destruction, because a sassy gay guy likes to make fat jokes and talk about the wage gap. I mean, what is going on? This is supposed to be the home of the First Amendment. This is supposed to be the land of, of free speech.
Often, and Berkeley, California is a prime example, Antifa works hand in glove with the local Democrat-controlled city council. Berkeley Antifa works closely with BAM by any means necessary. BAM leaders, including Yvette Falaka, are very close to the Berkeley City Council. Current Berkeley Mayor Jesse Aragon, former Mayor Lonnie Hancock, and current Berkeley City Councillor Chris Worthington have all been members of the BAM Facebook group.
What specifically is it about Milo Yiannopoulos that you and others have an issue with? Well, first of all, Milo Yiannopoulos is a fascist. He's a white supremacist. He's funded by Steve Bannon and Breitbart. He's an acolyte of Donald Trump. And he was on the UC Berkeley campus to try to recruit more fascists.
By any means necessary are a group of professors, students, quote unquote, intellectuals publicly stating they believe that right-wingers and people they deem to be fascists need to be stopped by any means necessary. That means guns, that means violence, that means potentially killing people, which is a very, very scary thing that is being advocated publicly and with very little resistance in America.
Why not be peaceful about it? Why not, chant and hold your signs and things? But when you take the barricades and you destroy the building and when you set fires, isn't that counterproductive? I think that the left has been far too timid for way too long. And it's why we've even gotten in this position where we even have someone like Donald Trump leading a fascist movement as the president of the United States. We need to make sure that we have more mass protests, more militant protests that are mass and militant.
Community college professor and anarchist Eric Clanton was arrested for allegedly hitting several people with a bike lock during protests in Berkeley.
Right here, motherfucker! Right here! Oh shit, he's bleeding. Yo! The ambulance is coming.
Eric Clanton's lawyer is lifelong activist Dan Siegel. Dan Siegel, another BAM Facebook group member, was once West Coast leader of the pro-North Korea Communist Workers' Party, the Antifa of the late 1970s.
You spoke to the judge, you said, look, people were saying unpleasant things. What does that have to do with the assault that took place? Why is that relevant to anything?
I think there was a lot of anger at the demonstration on April 15. These alt-right people were using Nazi and KKK salutes, waving a flag that has Nazi and KKK symbols on it. People didn't like that. There was yelling back and forth. What happened beyond that, I think, needs to be proven in court. I don't think there is proof that my client attacked anyone.
They need moral chaos in a culture. They need to bring a culture to the divisive breaking point where it essentially turns to the strongman, the authoritarian figure that is the leader of their tribe, and say, hey, fix this for us, save us from ourselves, bring us order. And that is the siren's song.
I have seen the violence escalate on my tour up to a shooting and then UC Berkeley, which was just pandemonium, as a direct result of the failure of law enforcement to nip these violent incidents in the bud.
Hey, how come you guys are hanging back? Question for the chief of police. I haven't seen the cops around. People are like beating the shit out of each other.
Public statement, right?
I know. I'm just asking you guys. I mean, you're here.
I would defer you to our public information officer.
So they told you to hang back?
As I said, I would defer you to our public information officer. What's your next question?
I mean, I'm just wondering why. I've been watching all day. People get beat up pretty bad. I haven't seen you guys around much.
Okay. And
they practically send a signal that you can come and come and have a go, by policing so badly, so lightly, so hands off, and basically letting people get away with murder. They're sort of sending a signal to violent protesters, to organizations like Antifa. If you show up and you want to beat people up and smash up property, we're not going to stop you. That for me is just the definition of dereliction of duty for a law enforcement agency, and it's got to stop.
You no longer have a platform to discuss, which the conversation very quickly went from should we allow free speech to should we ban hate speech to should we respond to hate speech with violence. Once the conversation has gotten to that point, there is no more capability for the right and left to communicate at two different tables and bring their ideas. The only possible conclusion is violence.
And these guys are being exposed for what they are. They're not freedom fighters pushing for less government. They're brainwashed communists trying to kill people.
Milo's event, there were people being on the streets that were just being beat with sticks, innocent women just being pepper sprayed. Just everywhere we went, there was piss being thrown on us, explosives being thrown at us, bricks being thrown at us. We were being beat, punched, everything. And at one point, you're going to snap.
August 2017, a Unite the Right rally is held in Charlottesville, Virginia. This was not like previous rallies. It was not led by peace-loving patriots infiltrated by a few crazies. This was a rally of genuine white supremacists, bona fide Nazis, and Ku Klux Klansmen.
If you are walking down Main Street America, waving a Nazi flag, one, you're a moron. Two, you're a terrible person.
White lives matter. White lives matter. The whole event was a disaster waiting to happen. Thousands of activists swarmed on the town looking to confront Nazis.
Workers' Row Party brought a contingent to confront the cops and their Klan-running dogs in Charlottesville, Virginia, as part of a battle to take down altars to racism, what the media cynically calls Confederate monuments.
It wasn't just Antifa, it was Democratic Socialists of America, International Workers of the World, the Party of Socialism and Liberation, and the pro-Russia Workers' World Party.
Essentially, what you're dealing with, from a worldview standpoint, are two peas in a pod. Their only argument they really have is, we want to be the thugs in control and not you. We want to essentially do to the people that you're ruling almost all the exact same things that you want to do. We just want to be the one holding the gun to their head instead.
The two sides fought for hours. According to several media reports, the only action police took was to steer white supremacists into direct confrontation with the anti-fascists.
There is no moral high ground there. The proper antidote to lawlessness is not another form of aberrant lawlessness. The proper antidote to lawlessness is law and order, and that is something, true law and order, that neither Nazis or Antifa are advocates for.
If nothing is done, if law enforcement do not stop these groups who could easily be stopped before they even arrive at the venues. I mean, they advertise on Facebook they're going to show up, for goodness sake. That's how confident they are. That's how ballsy they are. That's how brazen they are. That's how confident they are that they won't be policed properly. If law enforcement's not going to do anything about it, you're going to see open civil war between conservatives and progressives. You're going to see more things like shootings at college talks. You're going to see more brawls in the street. You're going to see more violence everywhere on both sides.
One of the great tragedies of this era is to watch the greatest generation spend untold blood and treasure in their time to defeat Nazism over there so that it wouldn't come here, to defeat Marxism over there in the Cold War so that it wouldn't come here. And we are now, in my generation and the one behind me, we are now importing the various worldviews that our grandparents' generation spent their lifetimes attempting to defeat, in their natural habitat so they would never come here.
Do you remember when the FBI used to go after terrorist groups? They shut down the Weather Underground. They smashed the Black Panther Party. They reduced the Ku Klux Klan to a
Uh-oh. What's going on?
shadow of
There we
its
go.
former self. Why aren't the authorities going after today's terrorist group? Why aren't they going after Antifa? Antifa is at war with your government. Why aren't your authorities fighting back?
The president promised law and order in his convention speech last year. I'd like to see him live up to that promise, because I think there's a lot of Americans dying to see someone just spank these brats once and for all.
If Antifa violence remains unchecked, what will be the consequences?
So if you look at your kids, your future, what kind of America do you want your family to live in?
One where we can go to a rally as a family and I don't have to worry about my children. When I went to Portland, one of the hardest things for me was my son, who's 10 years old, wanted to come with me. And I wanted to bring him more than anything because, he wanted to go because he loves America just like me. He's following in his grandfather's footsteps. And he didn't understand why he couldn't go. And I had to sit him down. I had to explain to him the danger in it. And then, later I showed him the videos of me wearing a helmet and everything that happened. And I just think that it's really sad that in America, we can't go to a free speech rally without having to wear helmets and to leave our children at home.
Just like the social media censorship you see so much of from the progressive left, the outright violence in the streets that is fueled by progressive left mantras and executed by Antifa on the streets has a chilling effect on what people feel that they're able to say, how they're able to express themselves, the language they feel comfortable using, and the ideas that they feel comfortable expressing. And all of that has an absolutely catastrophic impact.
Your police are constitutionally bound to protect every American citizen's right to free speech. What will happen if the police are prevented from protecting Americans exercising their First Amendment rights? Every American's right to speak freely must be protected at all times by county, state, and federal law enforcement authorities.
Most people, regardless of how they vote in this last election, don't want to live in an America that looks like the Berkeley campus.
Your founding fathers enshrined free speech as the very first amendment to your Constitution. They understood that free speech is your most important protection against tyranny.
There you have it.
There we go. I mean, that's the main point. Hey, Joe. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, and these people are attacking our First Amendments. And that's what's happening. So anyway, I think, Joe, is there anything else we need to add before we call this one a day?
I think that Debbie has turned a corner, and I kind of like where she's at, because she's calling bullshit on ideas that need to be called bullshit, and she's screaming to revolt, refuse, deny. I agree.
Well, okay. I wonder if Debbie will answer this. If they come up with a vaccine, will she get it? Well, thank you, Debbie.
Thank you very much. And would you get the vaccine? And she has answered with a emphatic no.
So you and Debbie are on the same page, and
Yes.
I think more than a hell no, and maybe a hell fuck no, right?
Yes. They'll have to tie her down. Brian would do that.
Well, let me tell you this, Debbie, you could have met us out in LA, and you didn't.
You know what? Everybody kind of comes to this conclusion at their own pace, is what I've realized. And I think that you're going to one day realize that joining a militia is it's like taking lighter fluid and just smothering it all over King's face and setting him on fire.
No, I think you know what? I'm looking into
that. Manja.
Man, I know, but I will never take the vaccine ever.
Good.
They have to tie me down. I'd be like, hell no.
But there's somebody else here that would get the vaccine, Beppy. He's too scared to say it now. But you know what? He's said it many times. These things should be considered. Everything should be questioned. The bottom line is everything should be questioned, period. Beppy, what say you? Are you here or not? What are you doing? All right. Brian, anything? Kings, what do you got? Any last words?
I would double dose.
Yeah.
that. I'm looking on my Facebook page, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of brainwashed people out there, and they kind of disgust me.
Yeah, SpaceX is a joke. And it factors in heavily to what we're going through right now.
You know what? I thought you were talking about SpaceX with Kings of Talks.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, Debbie just commented. Kings, what do you think of SpaceX?
How about I take your woman up for a ride when I make Space Force? Space Force.
What?
Take her to outer space.
I'm going to take her to the moon, baby. I'm going to moon rape her.
Hell no, I already done that. I took her to the moon and back.
Hey-o.
I'm going to take her. I'm going to orbit her around the universe. You can call this. The child will be named Triple M. The child will be named Triple M, and you can spend money on him and dote on him, but I'll treat him to be a man. Thank you. All right, Joe, can we call it a day?
That's it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and that's it. Subscribe.
Yes.